Have you ever stopped to realize that much of the unhappiness you experience in your life has an origin much closer than you think? The origin lies within you, in the echoes of your own mind. That voice, the one that starts talking to you as soon as you wake up, telling you what to expect from the day, reliving old mistakes and fears, and making you fear what's still to come. It's always there, watching you, judging you, telling you what to do and what you've done wrong up to this point. Have you noticed how it follows you, guides you, limits you, and humiliates you with judgments that don't reflect reality? It's so present, so constant, that you end up believing that it is you, that this voice is your identity. But what no one tells you is that this voice is not yours. It's not you. It's nothing but an echo, a shadow, a creation of the beliefs and fears you've accepted as truths. This voice imprisons you in a distorted reality, where everything is harder, where you're never enough, where obstacles are bigger than they really are. The question is, what would happen if you finally realized that everything this voice says is far from the truth? And worse yet, what if I told you that to change your life, all you need to do is stop listening to it? The truth is, this voice, which you believe to be part of you, has no power over your true essence. It only exists because you feed it, because you identify with its words, with its lies. But are you ready to go beyond that? To finally silence this echo and discover what's really inside you? Because the secret, the real secret, is not in fighting against this voice, but in the stillness that arises when you stop listening to it. And it's in that space, in that silence, that real change happens, where reality starts to bend to your desires, where you finally begin to bend reality. Here in this video, I will guide you down an unknown path where you will finally see this voice for what it really is, an illusion that prevents you from accessing the unlimited power inside you. Get ready to discover what lies beyond this mental prison and how, by stopping to listen to the voice, you will finally connect with your higher self and start manifesting the life you deserve. The secret is within your reach. Now is the time to realize who you truly are, without the lies of that voice. Let's move forward together, without more distractions, and discover what's waiting to be revealed, and what this will mean for your life. There's something inside you that never sleeps, never silences. Have you noticed? It's a constant presence, whispering truths you never asked to hear. It wakes you up, telling you how your day will go. It walks with you as you move, and it's even there when you try to sleep. This voice, so familiar, so intimate, seems like it's you, but it's not. The big secret no one ever told you? It's just a reflection, a projection of the internal chaos you carry. And as long as you keep listening to it, you will remain a prisoner of a reality that is not yours. Think about it. Who is speaking inside your head? Why do you believe everything this voice says? You'll never be enough. They will never accept you. You need to be better. It sets rules, limits dreams, sabotages opportunities, and yet you treat it like a friend, a wise counselor. But what if I told you that it's your biggest enemy? That it was made to keep you small, far from your higher self? I know it's uncomfortable, but the truth is, this voice was built to distract you from the infinite power sleeping inside you. This voice works like a veil, hiding your true essence. It's like a fog that clouds your vision, making you see the world through distorted lenses. A delay in traffic becomes a disaster. A criticism turns into rejection, and a trivial mistake seems like a sentence of failure. Everything you see, feel, and believe goes through this filter. But what would happen if you removed it? Who would you be if this voice wasn't in charge? Maybe someone you've never met before. Now close your eyes for a moment and listen. Who is hearing this voice? There's something deeper, a silent presence that observes all of this happening. That presence is you, the real you. But while the chatter fills your mind, there won't be space to hear that truth. And this is where the mystery deepens. Because what you'll discover when you silence it will change everything you believe about who you are and what you're capable of. Have you ever stopped to think that the biggest prison you live in isn't physical, but mental? It's not made of bars or chains, but of a voice that never stops talking, dictating the rules of your inner world. And the most interesting part, you don't even realize that you built it, brick by brick, with your own beliefs, fears, and insecurities. It's not something you can see, but something you feel. Every time you compare yourself, every time you feel like you're not enough. What if I told you this prison doesn't actually exist? It only gains strength when you believe it's real. But who truly created these limitations? Does the voice you hear really have the authority to define your worth? Imagine an enchanted garden where everything is possible, but the garden is surrounded by an invisible fence. You look out, see the open sky, but feel trapped inside. This garden is your life, what it could be, what you desire. But the fence is the limited mind, the voice that says it's not possible. I'm not capable. This is too much for me. The cruelest part of this prison, it doesn't require anything of you except for you to keep believing that the fence is real. What if instead of trying to escape, you simply questioned, does this fence even exist? Because, see, often what limits you is what you don't even realize you're contributing to its creation. What you don't know is that these bars, these barriers, don't come from an external power. They come from within. Every judgmental thought, every comparison you make with others is like casting little spells into your mind. You believe it's reality, but it's nothing but a projection of fears that you've accepted as your truth. What if I told you that this entire projection could be transformed instantly? Yes, that's right. The key to unlocking this prison doesn't lie outside, but in silence, in the stillness you've been avoiding. You're afraid of seeing yourself without the voice that guides you. But isn't it this very fear that keeps you in captivity? Perhaps the secret to freedom isn't fighting against the bars, but realizing that you created them. What if, instead of shouting, you started to see things differently? What would happen if, when listening to the inner voice, you paused for a second and asked yourself, is this me, or was this told to me? The act of stopping the feeding of the lower self is exactly where the transformation begins. And guess what? That place of stillness, where you stop hearing what's not yours, is also the starting point for something much greater. What will you do now? Have you ever wondered if the person you think you are is actually who you really are? Or could this person you're trying to be just be a creation of your own mind? The self you carry, with all its certainties and limitations, is actually a distorted reflection of what your mind, shaped by fears and traumas, decided would be your truth. This self is like a shadow, always shifting and trying to adjust to what you think you should be. But here's the big secret. This self is not real. It's just an illusion your mind created to protect you from the vastness of your own power. And you live this lie every day without even realizing it. Let's be honest, the phantom self you carry is a specter of past emotions, stories you made up to explain what you don't understand. It's fueled by everything that's happened, by every internal judgment, by every comparison with others. And as you hold on to this self, you distance yourself from the true being that exists beyond it. What would happen if you simply let go of this improved version of yourself and looked at what you really are? Could it be that the fear of facing your true self is exactly what keeps you stuck in this ghostly version that deep down limits you. This phantom identity, this fabricated self, is why so many people feel dissatisfied, even when they have everything they thought they wanted. The problem is, this self isn't your higher self. It's a murky and distorted reflection, a creation that only serves to keep you from who you truly are. So, how do you break this illusion? How do you leave behind this phantom self and connect with the essence of who you were born to be? The secret lies in perception. The moment you begin questioning the origin of this self, you begin to realize it doesn't define you. It's just a role you decided to play. Did you know that in reality, identifying with this phantom self is the biggest block to accessing your true inner power? When you start to recognize the truth behind this identity, you begin to feel true freedom. The kind that comes from not having to justify or try to be something you're not. You start to realize that the self you've built isn't what you should be, but what you need to leave behind. And when you free yourself from this ghost, it's like the veil is lifted, and you can finally see your true essence, your higher self, what's really beyond this mental construct that holds you captive. Isn't that fascinating? Who really is listening to this voice that never stops? Have you ever thought that maybe the answer to this question is the key to understanding your true nature? The mind talks, and talks, but who is listening to all of it? There is something deeper beyond this relentless chatter. There is a silent presence, an observer that sees everything without being swept up in the flow of thoughts. And the question is, who is this observer? Could it be you? Or have you become so immersed in this whirlwind of voices that you've forgotten who is truly observing? This observer is, in fact, the pure essence of your being, and it is here, now, waiting for your consciousness to recognize its existence. Let's challenge the common belief for a moment. The mind will tell you that you are it. It will convince you that you are this voice, these thoughts, this identity you carry. But what if I told you that all of this is a game, an illusion designed to keep you away from your true essence? The truth is, you are not this voice. The voice is merely a reflection of everything you've internalized throughout life. The true you is beyond this. The true self is not shaped by the mind, but by something deeper, something you feel but rarely see. This is your higher self, which observes everything with serenity, unaffected by the distortions of the mind. This silent presence, this observer, is beyond any judgment or comparison. It doesn't cling to what is right or wrong, good or bad. It simply observes. And it's when you start to identify with this observer, not with the voice, that true freedom opens up. The mind will try to convince you that you're lost, that you need control, that you must plan the future, that you should worry about what others think. But the observer knows that all of that is fleeting. It knows the truth. The only thing that is real is the present moment, the now, and the quiet power you have to choose from your consciousness. Imagine what comes after this moment of clarity. When the observer becomes clearer, other forces start to act in mysterious ways. What happens when you stop being shaped by the waves and start to understand the true force that comes from silence? The mind may scream, but now the one listening is the one who has already transcended the limits set by ordinary perception. And as you align with this true essence, reality starts to reveal itself in a completely new way, as if the veil is being lifted effortlessly. The mind is a broken mirror, reflecting a distorted version of who you really are. Every negative thought, every fear you feed, contributes to the cracks in this mirror. The problem is that you look at these distortions and begin to believe them, as if they are the truth. But here's the mystery. The mirror will never reflect the full reality because it's conditioned to show only fragments of what you see. The true reflection, the one that shows you in your entirety, only reveals itself when the mind is silenced, when the fog clears. As long as you continue looking into this fragmented mirror, you'll never see the whole. And what happens when you get lost in this distorted reflection? You begin to identify with these flaws, these imperfections, believing they are a part of who you are. Life then becomes a constant search to fix something that in reality was never broken. Every failure, every mistake only strengthens the illusion that you need to change, that you're not good enough. But the secret is simple. The mirror only reflects your vision, not your truth. What you see in the reflection is often nothing more than a projection of the shadows you feed in your mind. Now imagine that you can see beyond the surface. The mirror no longer deceives you. You can perceive the true image behind the distortions. What would happen if, instead of fighting the reflection, you simply observed it without attachment? What if you understood that the reflection only exists because you chose to see it that way? The true you you're searching for isn't reflected on any surface, but in the inner stillness, where there are no judgments or distortions. The secret is, reality was never what you thought. It's always been beyond the image you saw. When you begin to abandon the belief in the mind's distortions, you realize that deep down, you were never trapped by these reflections. You are like water, fluid and formless, capable of shaping into the true essence of what you are. As you release the false identity, the mirror begins to show a new reality, one where the control of the mind is no longer necessary, because what you see is the raw and simple truth. And when you realize this, you begin to look at the world and yourself in a completely different way, where what once seemed fragmented now aligns perfectly. The key? Simply stop looking at the reflection and start seeing what's beyond it. The mind has a huge fear of the void, doesn't it? It tries to fill it with constant thoughts, worries, stories, songs, memories, and noise. But the big secret that few know is that the void isn't an absence. It is, in fact, a true infinite space of possibilities. The void is the gateway to true creation, where all things can emerge without limitations, without the barriers of the mind that insist on defining everything. And here's the point. When you start looking at the void not with fear, but with curiosity, you begin to understand the true source of all power. What we call nothing is in reality the beginning of everything. The void is where cosmic energies meet, where synchronicities begin to manifest, and the possibilities of changing your reality expand. In Hermetic philosophy, the void is known as the primordial chaos, where creation begins before any form or structure. You might have learned to see the void as an uncomfortable space, a place of uncertainty. But what if it were the exact opposite? What if the void were the place where all the answers and potentials are waiting to be discovered? When you learn to open up to the void, you align with the flow of the universe, allowing cosmic wealth to manifest in your life. Imagine that the void isn't the end, but the beginning. When you learn to disconnect from the mind that is constantly searching for answers and validation, you enter a dimension where everything is possible. Instead of fighting against the idea of the void, you surrender to it, letting it overflow and fill your existence with what you truly need. And the most surprising part? The void not only brings clarity, but also synchronicities. Those small, powerful signs that start appearing when you align with the natural flow of life. The magic of the void is that it contains all the answers you've been searching for, effortlessly. The only thing you need to do is trust. This silent space within you is where true spiritual growth occurs. By stopping the constant need for control and allowing the void to manifest, you begin to realize that abundance doesn't come from struggle, but from space. And this space is not empty. It is overflowing with potential. Every moment of silence is a moment in which the universe, through your higher self, can express itself in your life. This transformation isn't something you create, but something you allow. As you connect with this creative void, you begin to realize that it isn't empty at all. It is full of infinite possibilities, waiting to be shaped by your energy. The now, this simple yet powerful moment, is where all the magic happens. The mind, however, insists on pulling us to the future or dragging us to the past, making us lose what's right in front of us. Have you noticed how, when you get caught up in the future or the past, you lose the essence of what you truly are? But here's the secret. The now is where everything aligns, where reality begins to bend to your will. In this space of the present, you have the power to change everything, to activate your inner power and start manifesting a new reality. This isn't a trick. It's a deep truth, one that few have the courage to explore. Mindfulness practices teach us to stop and simply be, to let go of all distractions and connect with the now. But the true magic isn't in doing this. It's in allowing. When you allow the now to be the only space where your consciousness resides, something extraordinary happens. You align with the universal flow, you begin to notice synchronicities, and the manifestation of desires begins to happen almost automatically. This isn't by chance. When you're fully present, your vibration rises, your frequency aligns with cosmic abundance, and reality begins to bend to you. But the trick here isn't the technique itself. It's in abandoning the need for control. The mind wants to control, plan, anticipate what's to come. And this desire for control is the greatest barrier to living in the now. When you stop trying to control every aspect, when you let the moment unfold as it is, you begin to realize that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. What you need isn't something that will come in some distant future, but something that is already here right now. And that's the power of the present moment. It's all you have to activate your spiritual journey. The now, contrary to what the mind tries to sell us, isn't a moment of fear or scarcity. It's the point where the universe manifests in its pure and limitless form. The mind will tell you that you need to do more, be more, wait for more. But the secret is simply to be. The now contains everything you need, and when you surrender to it, there's no more need to search. The search ends, and you begin to live the life you've always desired, not in some distant future, but right here, in this very moment. Stillness. Have you ever thought of it as the true source of light? In the hectic world we live in, the mind believes that constant action is the only way to achieve something. But what if I told you that the true light isn't in doing, but in being? True light arises when you allow yourself to silence, when you stop searching for answers and simply surrender to what is present. Stillness is where your higher self reveals itself, where the universe begins to communicate without words, without haste. And it's in this space of peace that everything you've always searched for starts to manifest effortlessly, flowing naturally into your life. This inner silence is more than just the absence of mental noise. It's full of possibilities, full of power. You can call it a quantum leap, or perhaps an opening to the cosmic field where everything is possible. But the mind, as always, tries to resist. It fears stillness because in silence, it loses control. It believes that without the constant noise, without the continuous flow of thoughts, there's no direction, no meaning. But the hidden truth? Stillness is where meaning arises. When you connect with this deep space inside you, the flow of life starts to align, synchronicities become clear, and you begin to see reality molding itself before your eyes. The mind is always looking for something to do, something to fix, something to achieve. But in doing so, it drifts away from the point of origin, from where everything begins. The light you're searching for is in stillness, in the peace that lies beyond the turbulent mind. And this light isn't something you need to search for endlessly. It's inside you, waiting to be accessed. When you begin to stop fighting internally, when you allow the mind to rest, it's in this space that true magic begins. The cosmic wealth and spiritual growth you desire aren't accomplishments that need to be sought. They are simply revealed when you stop fighting and allow the light to shine. As you surrender to the silence, you realize that stillness isn't emptiness, but a vibrant space, full of wisdom, love, and power. The paradox? When you stop searching for truth, it reveals itself in a sublime way. And by letting the mind rest, you begin to experience life with a new intensity, where every moment is filled with meaning. The light of stillness shines brighter than any frantic search. And as you begin to realize this truth, you understand that living in harmony with this stillness is living in harmony with the cosmic flow of life. True transformation doesn't come from more effort, more struggle, or more control. It comes from allowing yourself to be who you truly are, without the filters and limitations imposed by the mind. It's not about silencing the world around you, but about learning to silence what doesn't belong to you. When you do that, it will be as if a veil is lifted, and you'll see the world as it truly is, full of opportunities, infinite possibilities, and above all, a freedom you never imagined was possible. Now I want to know from you, how far are you willing to go to free yourself from this voice that only limits you? Have you thought about the power of simply stopping to listen to what doesn't belong to you? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I want to see how you're preparing to take the next step on your transformation journey. The power to change everything is in your hands, and you know that. The choice is yours. What will your life be like from here on out? The path is right in front of you. What will you do with it?